Hello, everyone. We're excited to be here today, and we are so excited to introduce our amazing guest here. And this is Allan Knight, and he is a former Zen monk turned communication expert, and he has created two different programs, one called the Zen Zone Mindset Training, and another one which we totally feel aligned with is the Soulmate Revolution. That's so awesome. Can you tell us more about that, Allan, and about yourself? Introduce yourself.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Michael and Freyja. Very quickly, at the age of 19, my father died, and I traveled the world, took off to university at the time, and I came close to dying on the desert. And I went from being an atheist to exploring my spirituality. And when I returned to my home city of Montreal, I met these two amazing people that had these big, clear eyes. And they were part of what was called the Zen Meditation Center at the time. And they invited me there. There were about 25 or 30 of them. And they all had these big, clear eyes. And they were calm. And I said, I want that. So I moved in, lived as a monk for 9 years, then missed girls too much. So I left the monastery.
I get it.
Awesome. Awesome. So you were telling me something that you really work on with your Soulmate Revolution. This really struck me, the way you said meeting your inner soulmate is crucial for meeting your outer soulmate, and we totally agree with that. Tell us more about that.
Well, the interesting thing is that when I left living as a monastery, because it's all connected, when I lived as a monk, I tapped into a part of myself that I never knew existed. You guys know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Call it spirit. I call it the Zen zone, calm, clear, eternal mind. I never knew that I had anything more than a physical body or analytical mind. So obviously there was a lot of benefit from me experiencing the monkhood, although I don't recommend it for everybody. You don't need to do it anyway. But when I went back into society, I was a basket case. I had to deal with relationships, I had to deal with money, I had to deal with career, with political pressure, not political, but politics, social pressure, etc. And so I realized that unless I would integrate what I learned from the Zen zone and integrate it into every area of my life, I would never really be able to grow personally and help other people substantially. Now, at a very young age, for some reason, even though I was a jock and an athlete at the time, I was always very attracted to the area of soulmates. I was always attracted to deep connections between people. Maybe because I intuited that was lacking in the world and lacking in my life. But I always wanted to do something along those lines. And for years, I fantasized launching the nightclub, KNIGHT, and bring chivalry back. So that was awesome. Part of it. So for the last 25 years, I've been coaching. I've been developing a program that's now resulted in the 9-step formula, which is how to master our communication and relationships from the inside out. And I learned a long time ago, after being in love twice and it not working very well, that unless I loved myself substantially and unconditionally, it was going to be very hard for me to attract a great relationship. And so for me, I learned early on that I have to work on me and get to the point where I love and accept myself fairly unconditionally, and by the love vibration, attract the person of my dreams. So in a nutshell, that's how it started.
Perfect.
That's awesome. That's totally in alignment with what we tell people, where that if they haven't connected with their inner being and who they are, well, then they're actually vibrating on a different level and attracting all the wrong kind of people in their lives. So that's,
So
absolutely.
How does what you teach impact your students?
Well, it's interesting because thank you for asking, Michael. It's a good question. And what I pride myself is years ago when I embarked on the whole self-development world, I saw that there was a missing link. People would, when I ended up starting to do coaching, people would come to my office, I'd do my evaluation, and I asked them, how much work have you done on yourself? Well, I've done a lot of work. I spent $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $25,000 on self-development. And in my X-ray assessment, they still procrastinate. They still had a hyperactive mind. They still had fear of rejection. They still had social anxiety. And I thought, if they spent all this money and all this time and they're still this way, something is missing. There's a missing link. And then the light bulb went on. I realized that if you guys are physical fitness trainers and I come to your office and I'm 100 pounds overweight in terrible shape, you don't send me to rah-rah workshops or reading books. You send me into the gymnasium to work out.
Yes.
So I realized if that's true for physical fitness, the same should be true for inner fitness and verbal fitness. And I always wanted to connect the inner with the verbal, because I felt that a lot of self-development is in inner healing and personal transformation, but not all of it connects to communication skills. So I wanted to create the both. And so over the years, the 9-step program has become an inner fitness, verbal fitness system that I've developed that helps fast track people's ability within 60 to 90 days to get in the Zen zone, build their inner confidence, and start mastering their communication. And as a matter of fact, now I've just launched the certified training program, and it's my goal that I eventually have hundreds, if not thousands, of people around the world training it, because the system is much bigger than me. I'm not going to be around. Dale Carnegie's long gone, but his system's still here. So that's where I'm going with it.
That sounds phenomenal. I love that.
So do you have any examples of clients that really stand out to you on the kind of results that were created and how it changed their life?
Yeah, good question. Yeah. One guy came to me 2 years ago, beautiful, good-looking guy, 28 years old, from the Middle Eastern, one of the Middle Eastern countries, stuttered. He stuttered. And he admitted to me that he never had sex in his life. He admitted to me that he's never been in a relationship. He also admitted he never kissed a girl, and he's a good-looking guy. And so he asked me if I could help him. I said, if you are willing to do the work and go through the program, not only do I know that you will grow fairly quickly, but I'm not making a promise, but if you go through it, because I think the stuttering is connected to emotions, that if you go through this, I think there's a good chance your stuttering will end. But I'm making no promise on that regard. So he chose to go through the program. Short story, that was about 2.5 years ago. This guy is now one of the main leaders of the Toastmasters in Vancouver. No stuttering.
Oh my God. Wow. That's so beautiful.
That's the second one, which I won't go in detail. Similar, didn't have a stutter. Short guy, good looking guy, wanted to meet his soulmate. About 1.5 years ago, he came to me. He's now married to a soulmate who lives in Brazil, and he's just ecstatic because he went through that whole process, and you could see him transform. Like you guys do similar work, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Those two stand out.
Yes, this is the work. This is the frontline work. This is where the change comes, is one person at a time, working with individuals to free them, empower them.
And like you said, it always starts on the inside, from the inside.
Always. I believe that we need to come to a place. It's funny. I've got to the point now where I realize that most people that I meet that say they want love, they're really looking for mommy and daddy in a younger body. They still haven't got the love and respect that they've always yearned for. And so that's why I always start with the inner soulmate, that if you can come to a high level of accepting, loving, adoring yourself like your own child. Beautiful. And here I am. It's funny, you guys. 2 years ago, my brother sent me a picture of myself when I was 21 in university. I looked and I said, wow, what a good looking guy. And then I thought, I hated myself. I thought I was skinny. I thought I was ugly. I thought I was stupid. Now I'm an old man, balding, and I've never felt better. I felt great, and I attract people all over the place. So that tells you the power of the inner person.
Yes,
it does. And that vibration, when we take down those masks and open up and tear down the walls that we're keeping up as protection between us and those around us because of all the fear and the self-loathing and whatever all else, where we don't really see ourselves, then just like what you described, that it starts drawing people in, it starts drawing in vibrationally aligned people. Yeah. It's just beautiful. I love that.
It goes beyond relationships, I would assume. Do you see this? How does it change their lives?
It changes people's lives dramatically, because when you guys well know, when you achieve a level of inner freedom, doesn't matter. I call it the Scud missiles of life. Number 6 out of my 9 steps is busting through the barriers. We are going to, whether we like it, have the Scud missiles of life attack us, small, medium, and large. My twin soul, Susie, passed away 10 years ago. When she got cancer, that was the biggest Scud missile of my life. So I picked myself up by the bootstraps quickly, got back in the zone for my sake and also for loving her. And we had some of the best 2-3 years of our life together. And I realized if I could pick myself up with that Scud missile, I could do that with anything. And it's funny when people ask me, what are the most important elements in self-development? It's not first and foremost positive thinking. It's how do you deal with the obstacles? Because if you could build that character, like you well know, Freyja, having had the balls to leave that, that community that you were in for many years, that took a lot of courage.
Yes.
And so it's those being willing to bust through the barriers to maintain, I talk back in the zone, and then live like a tree trunk in the superhighway of life. Nobody will get me off track from living my desired lifestyle. So that's pretty well my philosophy.
Those are empowered people. They're not going to be manipulated. They're not going to be controlled.
Yes.
And my commitment is to help facilitate 100,000 soulmates coming together in the next 10 years. That's my goal.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that.
And some of them will have to go to your retreats too.
Yay. That is so awesome. So anybody listening, this is Allan Knights and Soulmate Revolution. I love what he's doing. So check it out.
And how can people contact you?
The best way to contact me now, they could email me at info@allanknight.com. My website, allanknight.com, is in the middle of being totally transformed in the next couple of months, but it's still fine as it is. You can also, if you want to access the 9 steps in a very simple way, you go to a URL called whatsholdingyouback.com, and every 2 days you'll get a 2-minute video of each one of the 9 steps. And the Soulmate Revolution landing page will be up within 3 days, soulmaterevolution.com.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Do you have one last message that you'd like to share with everyone?
I would say the message that's coming to my mind right now is, if I was going to leave one message, I would say, those of you that are listening, the importance of getting fed up. It's not enough to know that you want to change or you think you should change. I've experienced in my own life and with others, unless you get fed up with mediocrity, unless you get fed up with other people living their dreams and you're not, it's important to look and say, you know what? The gig is up. I'm sick and tired of it. I'm fed up. And then use that emotional energy to propel yourself into true happiness and love and success.
That's fantastic.
That's powerful. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Yes, 100% agree.
Thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Thank you for joining us.
Bye-bye.
Yes.